Look into your dog's eyes right now. Go ahead and watch what happens. Your dog holds your gaze, soft, steady, completely calm. It doesn't look away. It doesn't get nervous. It just looks at you like it's reading something written behind your eyes. Now try the exact same thing with a wolf. A wolf raised by humans from birth, bottle-fed, hand-raised, treated with love every single day of its life. Look it in the eyes, and it will look away. Or it will see the stare as a threat. What it will never do is hold your gaze and feel calm. That single difference, that quiet eye contact you take completely for granted, is the result of one of the strangest and most intimate evolutionary partnerships in the history of life on Earth. Your dog didn't just become tame. Your dog rewired itself over 15,000 years to hack directly into the deepest bonding system in your brain. And once you understand how it happened, you'll never look at your dog the same way again. Let's start with the eyes, because that's where the science gets almost unbelievable. In 2015, a team of Japanese researchers led by Takafumi Kikusui published a study in the journal Science, one of the most respected scientific journals in the world. They wanted to understand what actually happens, chemically, when a dog and its owner look at each other. So they measured oxytocin levels in both. Oxytocin is sometimes called the love hormone. It's the chemical your brain releases when you hug someone you love, when you hold hands, and most importantly, when a mother gazes into the eyes of her newborn baby. That mutual gaze between a mother and infant triggers a flood of oxytocin in both of them, and that flood is what builds the unbreakable bond between parent and child. It is one of the most fundamental wiring systems in the entire human brain. Here's what the researchers found. When dogs and their owners looked into each other's eyes, both of them had a measurable spike in oxytocin. The longer the gaze, the bigger the spike. In the owner. And in the dog. The exact same loop that bonds a mother to her baby was firing between a human and an animal of a completely different species. Then they did the critical part of the experiment. They ran the same test with wolves that had been raised by humans. And the loop didn't happen. No gaze. No oxytocin spike. Nothing. The wolves simply did not engage in this behavior, no matter how much they'd been loved. This told the researchers something profound. The oxytocin gaze loop wasn't something dogs learned. It was something they evolved. Somewhere in the 15,000 years since dogs split from wolves, they developed the ability to reach into the human bonding system, the one built for our own children, and activate it. On purpose. Just by looking at us. Your dog stares at you with love, and your brain responds as if you're looking at your own child. That's not a metaphor. That's measurable hormones in your bloodstream. But this raises a much deeper question. How did this even happen? How does an animal evolve its way into another species' emotional hardware? To understand that, we have to go back to the very beginning, to the moment a wild predator first crept toward a human campfire. Roughly 15 to 40,000 years ago, somewhere in the cold of the last ice age, wolves and humans began a relationship that no one planned. The most common theory is that it started with food. Humans left scraps, bones, and waste around their camps. Most wolves were too fearful to come close. But a few, a small minority with slightly less fear in their wiring, dared to approach. They got the scraps. They survived a little better. They had pups. And those pups carried the same reduced fear trait. This is the part most people get wrong. Humans didn't tame wolves. The friendliest wolves tamed themselves. Generation after generation, the boldest and least aggressive animals ate better and reproduced more. Fear was being slowly bred out, not by human choice, but by survival itself. And here's where it gets remarkable. When you select an animal for friendliness, for reduced fear and aggression, you don't just change its behavior. You change its entire body and brain. Scientists call this the domestication syndrome. As fear decreased, other things changed too. Floppy ears, patchy coat colors, shorter snouts, and critically, a completely rewired hormonal system, one that produced more oxytocin and less stress hormone around humans. In 2017, researchers at Linköping University in Sweden found genetic variations in dogs that controlled their sensitivity to oxytocin, variations that made them seek out human contact when faced with a problem. And when they analyzed the DNA of wolves, they found the same genetic variation was already present. The raw genetic material for this bond existed before domestication even began. Evolution simply selected for it, amplified it, and turned it into the animal sleeping at the foot of your bed. There's an even stranger piece to this. In a landmark study published in Science Advances, Researchers found that the genes linked to dogs' hypersocial behavior, their intense, almost desperate friendliness toward humans, overlap with the genes responsible for a rare condition in people called Williams-Beuren syndrome. People with this condition are extraordinarily, unusually social. They love everyone. They trust everyone. They form bonds instantly and intensely. In other words, the genetic signature that makes your dog love you so completely is biologically similar to the one that makes certain humans love without limits. Dogs aren't just friendly. They may be ultra-savvy on a genetic level, built for unconditional love in a way almost no other creature is. But love alone doesn't explain how well your dog understands you. And this is where dogs leave every other animal behind. Try this. Point at something. A dropped piece of food, a toy across the room. Your dog will follow your finger and look where you're pointing. This seems trivial. It is not. Chimpanzees, our closest genetic relatives, animals that share almost 99% of our DNA, are terrible at this. Point at something for a chimp, and it just stares at your finger. It doesn't understand that your gesture means look over there. Dogs understand it instantly. Even puppies as young as 6 weeks old with almost no human training can follow a human point. They are born understanding our gestures. They read our body language, our tone of voice, the direction of our eyes. Research has shown dogs can even smell the chemical changes in your sweat when you're stressed or afraid. They know how you feel, often before you've said a single word. Dogs have also evolved something physical just for us. A small study using anatomy and behavior found that dogs developed a tiny muscle above their eyes that wolves don't have. It's the muscle that creates that pleading, sad puppy dog eyes expression, the one that makes you melt and reach for the treats. Wolves can't make that face. Dogs evolved the literal facial muscles to manipulate human emotion because over thousands of years, the dogs that could pull at our heartstrings were the ones we fed, protected, and kept close. Think about what that means. We didn't just shape their behavior, we shaped their faces. We bred an animal that is physically built to communicate with us, to move us, to make us care. And dogs are expressive in ways that go far beyond the wild. Researchers cataloging facial expressions found that dogs can produce up to 21 distinct facial movements. Horses manage 17, cats 15. Your dog has a richer vocabulary of expression than almost any other domestic animal, all of it pointed directly at you. Now, science is careful here, and so should we be. A more recent study suggested that some of the oxytocin response might come from a dog's life experience as a pet, the daily closeness, the routine, the care, rather than from domestication alone. The bond is built from both nature and a lifetime of shared moments. Genetics loaded the gun. Your life together pulled the trigger. So here is what's actually happening when your dog looks at you. You are looking at the result of 15,000 years of the most intimate coevolution in history. An animal that started as a fearful predator at the edge of the firelight and slowly, generation by generation, transformed itself into something that could reach inside your mind and bond with you using the exact same chemistry that binds a mother to her child. Your dog reads your gestures better than a chimpanzee. It reads your emotions through your scent. It evolved muscles in its face for the sole purpose of speaking to you without words. And when it looks into your eyes, it floods both of your brains with the chemical of love. No other animal on Earth has ever done this with us. Not cats, not horses, not our closest primate cousins. Only dogs crossed the species barrier and moved into the part of our hearts we reserve for family. So the next time your dog rests its head on your knee and looks up at you with those soft, patient eyes, remember what you're really seeing. Not just a pet. You're looking at 15,000 years of evolution, all of it aimed at one single purpose: loving you. And getting you to love it back. And it worked. It worked completely. Because you do.